a warm welcome to here. So welcome to Vidyalakshmi YouTube channel. So today we are going to continue the subtopic is called a respiration, that is of anaerobic respiration. Yes, anaerobic respiration here. So anaerobic respiration can be defined as the respiration which occurs in absence of oxygen. The respiration which occurs in absence of oxygen is called anaerobic respiration. So anaerobic respiration is another type of respiration which occurs most probably in yeast, which is called a filamentous of fungi. Filamentous unicellular fungi. So yeast is a filamentous unicellular fungi. So within the fungi we can see the formation of anaerobic respiration, and we can see some bacteria, particularly a lactic acid bacteria. Lactic acid bacteria. Okay. So we can see anaerobic respiration in some of the bacteria is called lactic acid bacteria, and yeast which is called a filamentous unicellular fungi, and moreover we can observe in muscles of our body. So within all this we can see this anaerobic respiration. Okay. Next, so anaerobic respiration we can also call as fermentation. Fermentation. So anaerobic respiration we can also call as a fermentation, which occurs in yeast as well as in some bacteria and some of the muscles. So this is the equation of anaerobic respiration. So aerobic respiration and anaerobic respiration, the initial product. What are the initial product we can call as a glucose? So glucose formula is C6H12O6. So glucose is oxidized. Glucose is undergo anaerobic respiration to produce ethyl alcohol, C2H5OH, or we can also call as ethanol. Ethyl alcohol or ethanol plus carbon dioxide plus energy. So energy is also going to be released during anaerobic respiration, and the net amount of energy is released during anaerobic respiration is 50 kilocalories of energy. 50 kilocalories. So aerobic respiration, the amount of energy released during aerobic respiration is 686 kilocalories. Here we are discussing about anaerobic respiration. So the net amount of energy is released during anaerobic respiration is 50 kilocalories of energy. So this is the equation of anaerobic respiration, only the anaerobic respiration. So anaerobic respiration we can also call fermentation, which occurs in some of the yeast, bacteria as well as in muscles of our body, and the end product of anaerobic respiration are ethyl alcohol, carbon dioxide and water. Carbon dioxide along with the energy. So less amount of energy is secreted during anaerobic respiration, that is of 50 kilocalories of energy. So next we can see very important cell organelle concerned to board of examinations in +2, that we can consider as mitochondria. Mitochondria. Okay. So mitochondria, as we know that mitochondria is also called powerhouses of the cell. Mitochondria we can also call as powerhouses of the cell. Why it is called powerhouses of the cell? Because mitochondria is mainly involved in cellular respiration. Mitochondria is also called powerhouses of the cell. Why it is called powerhouse of the cell? Because it is mainly involved in the special process is called as cellular respiration. That means the respiration which occurs inside the cell. The respiration which occurs inside the cell, that is called cellular respiration. So mitochondria is the main cell organelle which is involved in cellular respiration. That's what complete oxidation of glucose molecule occurs within the cell by the involvement of mitochondria. So that's what mitochondria is called powerhouses of the cell. Why? Because complete breakdown of glucose occurs inside the mitochondria. Complete breakdown of glucose molecule occurs inside the mitochondria to produce energy. So here the complete oxidation occurs in mitochondria by the presence of oxygen. That's what we can call aerobic respiration. So that's what energy is being secreted by mitochondria. So mitochondria is called as powerhouse of the cell, and it is involved in cellular respiration. Okay. Next you can see how. So mitochondria consists of two membranes. One is inner membrane. So this is called inner membrane. Inner side of the mitochondria we can call inner membrane. Okay, and the outer membrane, this is called outer membrane. Inner membrane and outer membrane. So the inner membrane of mitochondria, it consists of several foldings like structures like this. Several foldings like structures. So these several foldings like structures which are present in the structure of mitochondria we can call as cristae. Cristae. The inner foldings of mitochondria, it consists of several foldings. That foldings we can call as a cristae. And the cristae is filled with the fluid. Complete cristae is going to be filled with complete fluid. That fluid we can call as a matrix. Matrix. Okay. So inner membrane and outer membrane. So when we observe the structure of mitochondria, so mitochondria is, just now I told, it is called powerhouse of the cell. Mitochondria is called powerhouse of the cell. So mitochondria was discovered by two scientists, namely Benda and Kolliker. So these are the two scientists, they discovered the structure of mitochondria, and the shape of mitochondria is disc in shape. Disc shaped cell organelle. Disc shaped cell organelle, or some of the cells, a mitochondria is round or oval or spherical in shape. That is the shape of the mitochondria, and the mitochondria was discovered by two scientists, namely Benda and Kolliker. And the main function of mitochondria is, it is mainly involved in cellular respiration. That means the respiration which occurs inside this cell. Okay. So this is the structure of mitochondria. So mitochondria, it consists of two membranes, inner membrane and outer membrane. So inner membrane of mitochondria, yes, inner membrane of mitochondria, it consists of several foldings that we can call as cristae. Whereas the cristae is filled with a fluid, we can call a matrix. So cristae and matrix, and outer membrane does not have any other function of mitochondria. So this matrix, very important, and matrix, it consists of a specialized particles that we can call elementary particles. Matrix, it consists of a specialized particles or elementary particles. So these elementary particles, they play an important role in aerobic respiration. Aerobic respiration to produce energy. So complete oxidation of occurs within the mitochondria by the production of energy. So that energy production is being influenced by elementary particles which are present inside the matrix. Okay, so this is the structure of mitochondria. Now we can see briefly about the structure of mitochondria. As here you can see mitochondria are double membrane. It is a double membrane structure. So just now we have seen the mitochondria, double membranous like structure like this. Okay, so double membrane, so it means mitochondria consists of two membranes and is rod shaped or spherical shaped or oval shaped, any one. So some of the cells we can see rod shaped, some of the cells we can see spherical shaped, and some of the cells we can see disc shaped cell organelle. Okay, so that is the shape of the mitochondria, and this mitochondria is present in both plant cell as well as in animal cell. So these plants and animals, they can come under eukaryotic cells, eukaryotes. So plant cells, animal cells, they come under eukaryotes which consists of nucleus. So both a plant cell and animal cell, it consists of mitochondria, and the size of mitochondria, so this the size of mitochondria range is 0.5 to 1 micrometer in size. Micrometer, 0.5 to 1 micrometer in diameter. That is the exact shape of the mitochondria, and it consists of two membranes, outer membrane and inner membrane, just now I discussed. So outer membrane and inner membrane, two membranes are going to be present within the mitochondria, and the inner membrane of mitochondria, it consists of several foldings. The inner membrane of mitochondria, it consists of several foldings. So these foldings we can call as cristae. Cristae, and the cristae is filled with a fluid we can call a matrix. Matrix. Okay, so the inner membrane of mitochondria, it consists of cristae and the foldings, and the cristae is going to be filled with the fluid we can call as a matrix. So that is the membrane, inner membrane of mitochondria. Okay, next, so the outer membrane of mitochondria. So the outer membrane of mitochondria and the inner membrane of mitochondria, which are very important, and yes, the outer and inner membrane, both the two membranes of mitochondria, inner and outer membranes of mitochondria, they are made up of by proteins and phospholipids. Proteins. So as you know, proteins are made up of by amino acids. Proteins are made up of by amino acids. Okay. So the inner membrane and outer membrane of mitochondria are made up of by proteins with amino acids along with that phospholipids. Phospholipids. Okay. That means phosphorus plus lipids. Okay. So that is the production of both inner and outer membrane of a mitochondria, and these two membranes are being separated by space, little bit of space. Okay. So that is the layer of mitochondria, the cell wall composition of mitochondria. Okay. Next. Yes. Next you can see how outer membrane of mitochondria. So outer membrane of mitochondria. Yes. So the outer membrane of mitochondria, it covers the surface of mitochondria and has large number of specialized structures. Only the outer membrane of mitochondria. Once you can see the diagram here. This is the mitochondria double membrane. So the this is the outer membrane. So this outer membrane of mitochondria, it has a specialized structures. These we can call as porins. Porins. Okay. So the outer membrane of mitochondria, it consists of a specialized protein-like structures we can call as porins. So these porins are very important and they increases surface absorption. Surface absorption of more amount of glucose. Surface absorption of more amount of glucose. So when more amount of glucose has entered into the mitochondria, it has been oxidized quickly. Okay. So when more amount of glucose has been oxidized, we can get more amount of energy. So to enhance, to increase the surface absorption, to increase the surface area of mitochondria, these porins, which are called proteins, they plays an important role in mitochondria, which are called spike-like structures, which are found within the external structure of mitochondria. Okay. Next one, the freely permeable. So these porins, they are freely permeable, permeable to ions. Okay. So external to internal. So some of the substances, they can come from outside to inside of the mitochondria through porins. So these porins, they act as selective substances which can allow only the ion molecules as well as nutrient molecules. So all these are being entered inside of the mitochondria through the porins. So nutrient molecules, ions as well as energy molecules like ADP, ATP. So full form of ADP is adenosine diphosphate. Adenosine diphosphate. Okay. Whereas ATP full form adenosine triphosphate. Adenosine triphosphate. So ADP and ATP. So all these are called as energy forms. ADP, ATP. So ions, nutrient molecules, energy molecules, ATP, ADP. All these are molecules has been entered from outside to inside of the mitochondria through porins, which are called specialized protein-like structures. So that is the importance of porins. Okay. Next, yes, cristae. So earlier we have discussed about the inner membrane of mitochondria is made up of by inner membrane of mitochondria, it consists of several foldings. That foldings are called cristae. Yes, the inner membrane of mitochondria is complex in structure. So that complexity in structure is only because of the presence of cristae as well as a matrix. Okay. So this cristae consists of several foldings. The inner membrane of mitochondria consists of several foldings that we can call cristae, and it helps in increasing the surface area inside the cell organelle. So when the surface area is going to be increased, large amount of glucose has been absorbed. Large amount of glucose has been absorbed, and when the large amount of glucose has been absorbed, automatically we can get more amount of energy. Why? Because the glucose is completely oxidized. In more quantity we can get more amount of energy. Okay. Next one, the cristae and proteins. So the cristae as well as the proteins of inner membrane aids in the production of ATP molecule. So just I told, increasing the surface absorption of glucose molecule is done by the inner membrane of cristae. So when the more amount of glucose molecule has been entered inside of the mitochondria through the cristae, this glucose is actively participate in the process is called production of energy, respiration to produce energy. Okay, so that energy is going to be secreted, and the energy is always secreted in the form of ATP. That is called, just now I told, adenosine triphosphate. So energy is always stored in the form of ATP, is called adenosine triphosphate. Okay, next one, the inner membrane is strictly permeable. Only the inner membrane is strictly permeable to oxygen. So I told earlier, mitochondria plays an important role in oxidative phosphorylation. It plays an important role in aerobic respiration. That is nothing but complete oxidation of glucose molecule occurs in presence of oxygen. So here oxygen is needed for the aerobic respiration in mitochondria. So that oxygen is entered inside of the mitochondria through this inner membrane of mitochondria. Okay, so that is about importance of inner membrane of mitochondria, which can allow oxygen and some other type of complex molecules. Okay, next one, the membrane, a number of chemical reactions. So within the inner membrane of mitochondria, we can see number of huge quantity of chemical reactions. We can see huge quantity. Then let us next we can see what are the chemical reactions we can observe. Okay, yes, next one. Yes, next we can see here the mitochondrial matrix. So cristae we have completed. Next one we can see matrix. So matrix is nothing but the fluid content which is present inside of the cristae, that is called matrix. Yes, you can see the diagram here. So these are called cristae. So inside the cristae we have fluid. This we can call matrix. Okay. So both cristae and matrix are present inside the inner membrane of mitochondria. Both cristae and matrix are present within the inner membrane of mitochondria. So next you can see mitochondrial matrix is viscous fluid. So mitochondrial matrix is a fluid-like structure which is present within the cristae, and this fluid which consists of enzymes as well as proteins. Both enzymes and proteins are going to be present within the matrix. So these enzymes and proteins, both these two are involved in number of chemical reactions which occurs within the mitochondria. Number of chemical reactions. Okay. Next one, it is also combines. It is also consists of ribosomes. So as you know, ribosomes are nothing but cell organelles which are involved in protein synthesis, manufacturing of proteins or production of the proteins. So within the manufacturing of proteins or amino acids, inorganic ions, mitochondrial DNA. So DNA is the genetic material. So for the manufacturing of DNA, proteins, ions, next one, nucleic acids like DNA and RNA and organic molecules. So for the manufacturing of all these components, mitochondrial matrix plays an important role. Okay, so mitochondrial cristae, you have to remember the two important functions. Mitochondrial cristae is useful for the entry of substances inside and outside of the mitochondria, whereas mitochondrial matrix, which is the fluid present inside the cristae, is useful for the synthesis of proteins, that is called amino acids, inorganic components, organic components, whereas cofactors, enzymes, proteins, all these nucleic acids manufacturing, all this manufacturing is influenced by a mitochondrial matrix. Okay. Next one, these enzymes present in matrix plays an important role in synthesis of ATP molecule. So complete oxidation of glucose molecule is done by the involvement of enzymes which are present within the mitochondrial matrix of cristae. So that is about mitochondrial matrix. Next we can see functions of mitochondria, very very important task. So here we can see here functions of mitochondria. Yes. First important function is, it is mainly involved in oxidative phosphorylation. So first primary function of mitochondria is, mitochondria is also called powerhouse of the cell. Powerhouses of the cell. Mitochondria is also called powerhouses of the cell because it is useful in complete aerobic respiration of glucose to produce energy. Aerobic respiration of or complete oxidation of glucose to produce energy is done only by mitochondria. So energy has been secreted. That's what it is called, powerhouses of the cell. And the energy which is secreted is always stored in the form of ATP. That is called adenosine triphosphate. Adenosine triphosphate. So the primary function of mitochondria is, it is involved in production of energy. That's what it is called powers of the cell. Next function it is involved in oxidative phosphorylation. Oxidative phosphorylation. So here the phosphorylation can be defined as the process of transfer of phosphate group. The process of transfer of phosphate group from ATP to ADP. Okay. So here in ATP, 3 phosphate molecules are there. 3 phosphate molecules. So out of 3 phosphate molecules, 1 phosphate molecule is removed out. Then we can get ATP will convert into ADP. So adenosine triphosphate, 3 phosphate molecule convert into 2 phosphate molecules. That is that process we can call as phosphorylation. And oxidative phosphorylation can be defined as the phosphorylation which occurs in presence of oxygen. The phosphorylation which occurs, the transfer of phosphate molecule occurs in presence of oxygen, we can call as oxidative phosphorylation. Okay. So first function of mitochondria is it is involved in complete oxidation of glucose to produce energy. That's what it is called, powers of the cell. Second function is it is useful in transportation or transfer of phosphate molecule from ATP to ADP or from ADP to ADP. Okay, ADP to ATP or ATP to ADP, anyone. Okay, so phosphate molecule will be transferred and that process is called phosphorylation. So phosphorylation which occurs in presence of oxygen, that is called oxidative phosphorylation. So within the oxidative phosphorylation process, this mitochondria plays an important role. Next one is it is also useful in regulating metabolic activities of the cell. So metabolic activities of any cell is under influencing of a mitochondria. So any cell functioning is going to be influenced by mitochondria because it is directly supplying of energy. Okay, so that's what mitochondria, it is going to be useful in regulating metabolic activities. Various metabolic activities are functioning of each and every cell. Next one, it promotes the growth of new cells. So we can see new cells we can call as young cells. Young cells are mature cells. Okay, so mitochondria, it plays an important role in promotes the growth of young cells or mature cells or rapidly dividing cells, and it is also useful in cell multiplication. So by cell multiplication only, one cell becomes 2, 2 becomes 4, 4 becomes 8. So finally we can see multicellular organism formation. Okay, so number of cells formation is under influenced by the mitochondria. Next one, it also helps in detoxifying ammonia. So detoxification means nothing but here removal of toxic nature of ammonia. Removal of toxic nature of ammonia. That is called detoxification. So the detoxification of ammonia is also done by the mitochondria. Very, very important. Okay. So this is about some of the functions of mitochondria. Next we can see here. Next other important functions of mitochondria is mitochondria, it also plays an important role in apoptosis. Very, very important process. Mitochondria, it also plays an important role in apoptosis. That is called programmed cell death. Apoptosis is also called a programmed cell death. Okay. So if old cells, if the cells become old or immature or died cells, so the died cells or old cells has to be eliminated from the body. At the same time, new cells has to be formed. That process we can call apoptosis. So mitochondria plays an important role in removal of old cells or died cells. At the same time, new cells has been formed. That is done by the mitochondria. That's what mitochondria plays an important role in. A special process is called apoptosis. Okay. Next function is it is also responsible for building certain parts of blood. So some of the components of blood is going to be formed because of the mitochondria. That means mitochondria plays an important role in the formation of some of the components of blood, particularly heparin. Next we can see proteins present in blood like albumin, globulins. So for all this formation, mitochondria plays an important role. Okay, and it also useful in the formation of hormones like testosterone and estrogen. So mitochondria, it also plays an important role in the formation of hormones like testosterone and estrogen. So as you know, testosterone is considered as the hormone secreted by testes of males. Testes of males. Whereas estrogen is going to be secreted by the ovaries of females. Ovaries of females. So testosterone is the hormone secreted in males by the testes. Estrogen is the hormone secreted by ovary of females. So this testosterone is useful to develop secondary sexual characters in males. So testosterone is very useful in the development of secondary sexual characters in males, whereas estrogen is useful to develop secondary sexual characters in females. So for the secretion of testosterone and estrogen, this mitochondria plays an important role. That is the importance of mitochondria. Next one, it also useful. Mitochondria is also going to be useful in maintaining of adequate concentration of an important mineral is called calcium. So the calcium level is maintained properly in our body is influenced by mitochondria. Okay, that is very important. So as you know the functions of calcium. Calcium is essential mineral which is required for the formation of strong bones in our body. Calcium is essential mineral which is required for the formation of strong bones as well as strong teeth in our body. So that maintenance of calcium is done by the mitochondria. So that's why it plays an important role in maintaining of ions concentration properly in our body. Okay. Next one, it also involved in various cellular activities like cellular differentiation, cell differentiation. Okay. So we can get different types of new cells. So these new cells will get segregated, divided. That is called cell differentiation. Okay, so that cell differentiation is also done by the mitochondria. Next one, it is also useful in cell signaling, transportation of impulses, that is done by the mitochondria, that is called cell signaling. And it is also useful in cell synthesis. Okay, and it is also useful in controlling the cell cycle, very important task, cell cycle. Okay, so cell cycle it consists of different types of stages. So that cell cycle is going to be controlled by the mitochondria, and it is also useful in the growth, controlling the growth of the cell. So all these activities are being controlled by the mitochondria. So first primary function is it is going to be useful in energy production. Next it is going to be useful in detoxification of ammonia. Next it is going to be useful in apoptosis, which is called programmed cell death, and it is also going to be useful in maintaining of salts concentration, ions. And it is also going to be useful in production of testosterone, estrogen hormones, cell growth, cell differentiation. All these are being controlled by mitochondria, are being influenced by mitochondria. That's what mitochondria is, and very important cell organelle which is present inside the cell. That's the importance of mitochondria. Okay. Next we can see, so now we have finished about mitochondria. So aerobic respiration and anaerobic respiration we have finished earlier. Okay. Now we can see differences between aerobic and anaerobic respiration. Differences between aerobic and anaerobic respiration. Okay, very important question concerned to board examinations. Okay, so the first difference between aerobic and anaerobic respiration here is, the first difference is, so aerobic respiration always occurs in presence of oxygen. Anaerobic respiration always occurs in absence of oxygen. That is the first function. First differences. So first difference between aerobic and anaerobic respiration is aerobic respiration occurs in presence of oxygen, whereas anaerobic respiration occurs in absence of oxygen. That is the first difference. Okay. Next differences we can see here is called, these are the differences. Aerobic respiration. So we have seen the differences. Okay. First difference is aerobic respiration always occurs in presence of oxygen, anaerobic respiration always occurs in absence of oxygen. Second difference here is, in aerobic respiration, complete breakdown or complete oxidation of glucose will occur. Complete breakdown or complete oxidation of glucose will occur to produce energy. But anaerobic respiration, incomplete breakdown. So incomplete breakdown of glucose will occur. Okay, so aerobic respiration complete oxidation will occur, anaerobic respiration partial or incomplete breakdown of glucose will occur. Okay, that is the one more difference. Next difference here is the end products of aerobic respiration. The end products of aerobic respiration are carbon dioxide and water. Carbon dioxide and water plus energy. Carbon dioxide plus water plus energy. Okay, whereas the end products of anaerobic respiration are ethyl alcohol. So ethyl alcohol occurs within the yeast. Okay. Whereas in muscles we can see the formation of lactic acid. So muscles we can see the formation of lactic acid. So two ways. So glucose molecule is partially oxidized in yeast to produce ethyl alcohol, carbon dioxide and water plus energy. Whereas partial oxidation of glucose molecule occurs in muscles of our body to produce lactic acid plus carbon dioxide plus water plus energy. And energy is also going to be produced during anaerobic respiration. Okay. So these are the differences. And next difference is it produces a considerable amount of energy. So more amount of energy is secreted during aerobic respiration. So amount of energy secreted during respiration is 686 kilocalories of energy. Okay, whereas anaerobic respiration, less amount of energy secreted during anaerobic respiration. Only 50 kilocalories of energy secreted. Only 50. See the variation. In aerobic respiration, 680 kilocalories of energy. In anaerobic respiration, only 50 kilocalories of energy. So see the variation. More amount of energy is produced during aerobic respiration, less amount of energy is produced during anaerobic respiration. So there is one more difference between aerobic as well as anaerobic respiration. Next one, anaerobic respiration is also called fermentation. So anaerobic respiration we can also call as fermentation process here. Anaerobic respiration you can also call fermentation process, in which glucose is fermented to produce ethanol, ethyl alcohol. So ethanol we can also call as ethyl alcohol. So the formula of ethyl alcohol is C2H5OH, alcoholic group. Okay. So ethyl alcohol or lactic acid will be secreted. Okay. So fermentation is mostly applicable in brewing industry. So brewing industry means nothing but here production of alcoholic beverages. Alcoholic beverages. So we are seeing different types of alcoholic beverages like beer, wine, whiskey, rum, all these one. So all these are being prepared by fermentation process of the glucose molecule, which is done in the presence of yeast. Okay, so that is called brewing industry, and it is also used in baking process. Baking, preparation of pastries, preparation of different types of ice cream, jellies. All these are being done by the anaerobic respiration of fermentation. Next, it is also useful in curdling process. Conversion of milk into cold. Conversion of milk into curd, that is called curdling process. So all this process is done by anaerobic respiration or a fermentation process. Okay. Next one, by strenuous exercise, by continuous exercise, we may get muscle pain. Why we are getting muscle pain? Because anaerobic respiration occurs in our muscles. Anaerobic respiration will occur. So the end product of anaerobic respiration is in lactic acid in our muscles. Whereas end product of anaerobic respiration in yeast or some other bacteria is ethyl alcohol. So this is about aerobic and anaerobic respiration. Okay. Next one, yes, we can see the activity. So how the anaerobic respiration is done by the anaerobic respiration of glucose is done by the yeast. Okay. So here we can see the activity here. That's very, very important. Yes, here you can see the activity here. So this is the way of the production of anaerobic respiration of glucose by yeast. Okay. As you can see here. Yes. So first of all we need to take a large beaker like this. So this is the large beaker. Okay. Large beaker. So large beaker, half of the large beaker is filled with boiled and cooled glucose. Half of the large beaker is filled with boiled and cooled glucose. And inside the boiled and cooled glucose we can keep little quantity of yeast. Okay. Next, just above the glucose, boiled and cooled glucose, we can keep liquid paraffin. So this liquid paraffin, it does not allow the oxygen to enter inside because it is an anaerobic respiration. So oxygen should not be allowed. So this liquid paraffin is useful to prevent the entry of oxygen to inside. Then we can get the exact result. So first of all you need to take a large beaker. Half of the large beaker is going to be filled with boiled and cooled glucose, and inside of the glucose we should keep yeast cells or yeast powder. Okay. So this yeast, it can start to ferment glucose molecule, and after fermentation carbon dioxide is going to be liberated. So that carbon dioxide is entered into this U-shaped tube. Carbon dioxide is entered into this U-shaped tube, and within so this U-shaped tube is directly connected with another test tube which consists of lime water. Okay. So when the carbon dioxide is mixed with the lime water, the reaction here is, so lime water formula is CaOH twice. Lime water formula is CaOH twice. When calcium hydroxide is combined with carbon dioxide which is secreted by anaerobic respiration of glucose by the yeast, we can get CaCO3, calcium carbonate. So this formation of calcium carbonate we can observe by the formation of lime water change into milky white color. Milky white color. Okay, so if lime water is converted into milky white color, that is the indication that anaerobic respiration of glucose is done by the yeast to produce carbon dioxide. So this is the activity. Okay. Next one, so observation. So as you know the activity, how to write an activity. So for any activity you have to follow a specific manner. Aim, requirements, procedure, observation, result. Aim, requirements, procedure, observation, result. So this is the strategy we have to follow for any activity. Okay. So aim here is, so this is the activity. So I think you know the concept. You understood the concept of anaerobic respiration of glucose by the yeast. So aim is to prove that anaerobic respiration of glucose is done by the yeast. So procedure, requirements we require a large beaker, boiled and cooled glucose, then we require liquid paraffin, yeast powder, then U-shaped tube, thermometer, then another test tube which consists of lime water. These are things we require for this activity. Next one, procedure. First of all, we need to take a large beaker. So half of the large beaker is going to be filled with boiled and cooled glucose, and inside the boiled and cooled glucose we should keep, as I can explain with the diagram, as you can see here. So first of all, you need to take a large beaker. Procedure here is, first of all, you need to take a large beaker like this. Okay. So half of the large beaker is filled with boiled and cooled glucose, and inside the boiled and cooled glucose we should keep yeast powder like this. Okay. And the top of the boiled and cooled glucose we can keep liquid paraffin like this. So this liquid paraffin does not allow oxygen to penetrate inside of the beaker. Okay. Next one, inside of this we should keep collecting tube or U-shaped tube, and this is going to be connected with another test tube which consists of lime water. Okay. So allow the experiment for 24 to 78 hours. Then after that we can see the result. So observation here is, we observe that lime water is changed into milky white. Lime water is changed into milky white. And just now I had explained about the principle involved in this. Okay. So lime water is CaOH twice. When lime water is combined with carbon dioxide which is secreted by this to form calcium carbonate. So this formation of calcium carbonate is observed by the formation of, by the conversion of lime water changed into milky white. So this is the activity related to anaerobic respiration of glucose by the, so respiration in plants. So now we have completed about respiration in living organisms, animals. Next we can see respiration in plants. So when compared to animals, plants we don't have that much of well developed respiratory system, but they can respire. Okay. So plants, you can take any plant, that much of well developed organ systems are completely absent, but instead of that they can do organ systems like respiration, digestion, like that. Okay. So these are the different parts of involved in respiration of plants, only in plants. Okay. So roots of the plants, they consist of root hairs. So these root hairs which are present within the groundwater, they always used to absorb carbon dioxide which is essentially required, or oxygen. Next one is stem. So stem, it consists of lenticels. Lenticels are the respiratory organs in stem of the plants. Next one, leaves. So leaves, they consist of small opening circle stomata. So stomata, it plays an important role in two functions. Stomata, it plays an important role in two important functions. One is called transpiration. Stomata, it plays an important role in two functions. One is called transpiration. That is nothing but exchanging of, that is nothing but here, transpiration means nothing but here, the process in which removal of excess water from leaves in the form of water vapor. The excess water from leaves is removed to outside, the excess water from plants is removed to outside in the form of water vapor. That process you can call transpiration. So within the transpiration, stomata plays an important role. Next function of stomata is, stomata also useful in exchanging of gases. Exchanging of gases in leaves. So these are the two functions of stomata. Next one, mangrove plants. So we can see particularly these mangrove plants near to seashores, ocean shores, where more amount of salt water is available. So within this more amount of salt water, that is nothing but particularly sea or oceans, we can see heavy salt concentration. So within these seashores or ocean shores, we can see very little amount of oxygen is present. Oxygen is present. So that little amount of oxygen has been captured by the aerial roots which are present within the mangroves. So these are the different types of respiratory organs in plants. So by utilizing all these respiratory organs, plants can respire and they can show their respiration and they can survive. So this is about complete respiration in living organisms. Okay, so we have finished earlier about respiration in plants and organisms, animals. Now we have finished about respiration in plants. Okay, so this is about the complete whole chapter or whole topic of respiration in plants. Okay, so thank you for attending the class. So if you like my video, just subscribe and give and like and share the video. Okay, thank you one and all for attending the class.